It's a special day for Aden and Marian. They've been waiting a very long time to leave Dadaab refugee camp and to start a new life with their son. Ten years ago, thousands of Somali Bantu fled the civil war in Somalia. Alone, without clan affiliation or protection, many were raped and murdered. Thousands made it to Kenya. Since then, some 12,000 Somali Bantu refugees have lived in the Dadaab refugee camp in northeastern Kenya. But they remained a minority among a Somali majority. There was no refuge for the Somali Bantu, even in a refugee camp. But the Somali Bantu were victims of persecution long before they became refugees. Their ancestors were captured in Malawi, Tanzania, and Mozambique by slave lords and sold in Somalia over 200 years ago. In 1999, the United States designated this group a persecuted class of people who deserved to be resettled in America. During the next 2 years, as many as 12,000 Somali Bantu could be approved by U.S. immigration officials for resettlement. But because of its proximity to Somalia, Dadaab camp was considered too dangerous for U.S. officials to visit. IOM was charged with relocating the group from Dadaab to Kakuma refugee camp. But before relocation could begin, IOM staff carried out a road assessment to evaluate security, medical facilities, and the availability of food and overnight stops along the 1,500-kilometer, 30-hour road trip.
The agreement was made that these refugees would be moved from Dadaab to Kakuma, and that's how the process has started. Almost 50%, more than 50% of the Somali Bantu have arrived in Kakuma, and they are going through the process of screening, and hopefully in the near future all of them would be resettled.
At the IOM assembly area, Aden is still quiet and cautious. But once on the bus, he says the Somali Bantu have suffered far too much and for too long.
Sometimes if you try to go to look some firewood in the forest, you might face different problems. If men go to the forest, they might face the beating and some harassment problems. If the women went to the forest, they are just facing also the rape and whatever. That's a major problem of the camp.
Mohammed, his wife Binti, and their 3 children are also looking forward to a new life. Today it's their turn to relocate to Kakuma. Since mid-June, IOM convoys have been relocating the Somali Bantu refugees. For many, it was their first bus ride. Most had never left the confines of the refugee camp. For new mothers, the sick and the elderly, the prospect of flying is daunting. They quickly adapt and take their seats in the IOM flight that will spare them the long and bumpy road journey.
The vulnerable group here, we are talking of below 1 year, the late pregnancies above 28 weeks, we are carrying them by air because of the distance from here to Kakuma, the elderly above 60 years old, and anybody who is sick or has been discharged from the hospital recently and recuperating. So we are carrying them by air.
Mothers are taught to use a diaper. It has been a long day filled with unimaginable experiences for this group of Somali Bantu. But they're all happy to be moving to Kakuma and are excited about the prospect of starting new lives in the U.S. As the IOM buses arrive in Kakuma and the Somali Bantu descend, the tension in their faces dissipates. and big smiles can be seen everywhere.
Even if you ask most of them who are here, how do you find life in Kakuma? They tell you we can't even compare it to anywhere else. And most of them actually say they don't want to imagine how America is because Kakuma is already like America to them.
To accommodate the Somali Bantu in Kakuma refugee camp, IOM built a new transit camp and processing center.
I'll ask you something else. If we talk about immediate situation, is they go to their houses, they go to the food distribution center where they're given their food, they're given firewood, they're shown their shelters, and after that we have JVA, Joint Voluntary Agency, doing the interviews and form filling, and then we have the U.S. Immigration INS coming in to do the approval of this group or rejection of this group. After that, IOM does the medical screening, cultural orientation, and the movement from Kakuma to the U.S.
By the end of September, all Somali Bantu will have arrived in Kakuma. The majority of those approved for resettlement in the U.S. will leave Kakuma between January 2003 and June 2004.
They're in for a big change in their lives when they get to the United States. They'll be cared for, they'll be watched after, and they'll become green card holders in a year after arrival and hopefully U.S. citizens 5 years after that.